on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I have a great video in store for you guys. A really awesome, powerful PEKKA deck. It is like super control. It has a counter for everything and then another counter for everything. It's being played by Pompeyo. He tweeted out a couple days ago that he gained over 500 trophies using this deck in just one night, in one evening. He made it all the way to number 8 in the world. Currently, at the time of this recording, he sits at 52 in the world. You guys know Pompeyo. You know if he's playing any deck, he's probably going to have the balloon in it as the win condition, and that is indeed the fact here. Now, you see 3 legendary cards, guys. If you don't have them leveled up or you don't have them unlocked, don't worry, I got you covered. Let's quickly go through the substitutions before we hop into a live battle and then watch the pro Pompeyo play. So, subs are going to be for the miner. The miner here in this deck is your only pump punisher against elixir pump. So what you want to do is sub in Ice Golem and then also sub in Poison for the arrows. Now, of course, notably, we have 2 big tank killers because Golem just won't die in the meta, and neither will Giant. Giant decks and Golem decks are everywhere. So it's good to have 2 strong tank killers. If you use one, you still have the other one. So if you don't have Inferno Dragon there, I would actually not advise subbing in Inferno Tower. I think it'd make the deck a little bit too expensive. So personally, I would sub in the Mega Minion for the Inferno Dragon. For the Royal Ghost, you do need that splash damage. So I would sub in the Dark Prince instead of the Royal Ghost. If you wanted to, you could also sub in the Ice Golem, make it a little bit cheaper, but then again, you don't have that ground splash damage. So let's go ahead and hop into a live ladder battle here and see how we do, guys. Also, if you guys want to get funky and you have your Giant Snowball leveled up, at least tournament level standard, maybe for challenges, you can try subbing in the Giant Snowball for the arrows. So we're going against a guy who I don't know his name. We'll give him a couple stabs. We'll give him a white flag. We'll give him a his tongue out, and we'll give him a kiss. All right. So he starts out with a Giant in the back. Beautiful. We got an answer to the Giant. We got the Giant on lockdown here. It's going to be the PEKKA. So he's going to come at me here in the left. We're just going to go ahead and zap and then quickly get that Royal Ghost down before he gets into a charge. And beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, so now, guys, it's going to be balloon time in the right lane because it's going to be beautiful here. I'm going to have enough elixir left to use my arrows if I need to. So let's see what he does here. Let's see how he reacts. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to take that bait. You know, I'm just going to let this all go. I thought the Mega Minion would actually lock on to the PEKKA instead, but I will still get 2 hits in the death damage. So look at this. Oh, no. Oh, no. He's probably like, no. Are you kidding me, dude? You're seriously playing Inferno Dragon and PEKKA? You idiot. I'm guessing what he's saying right now in his head. He does get a lot of damage, though. He had that nice clutch zap there, able to reset my Inferno Dragon, but I still got more damage than he did, so I'll take it, right? You can see against a beatdown deck, we have plenty of answers here. So let's see how he reacts. He's playing, obviously, a Giant double Prince deck. We're just going to Royal Ghost right here. That will prevent maybe a couple stabs in those Spirit Goblins, but other than that, we're okay. So he's going to come with a Mega Minion. We don't have any big spells in this deck, so we do need to actually, you know, get a lot of damage onto these towers. So again, we're just going to have these arrows ready. We're going to go ahead and use those arrows. Those bats can do a lot of DPS. We'd rather not deal with it, right? And we'll play, as soon as that Mega Minion locks onto the PEKKA, we'll play some minions of our own behind it here. So let's see what he does. I'm thinking about going opposite lane, depending on how he reacts to this. I am going to go opposite lane. Here we go. So he's going to give me the left tower. That was a smart decision on his part on not defending. Oh my god. Is he giving up? I think he's giving up. And you'll get that from time to time, guys, with this deck, especially if you go against beatdown decks, because the opponents feel so demoralized. Let's be honest. You know, not because I'm a good player, just because this deck is like, we'll give him a good game and a thumbs up. Because this deck is just so powerful against especially beatdown. Let's go ahead and see how Pompeyo plays this deck, and we can learn from a pro instead of this noob. All right, so, oh man, he faced Lolo Rob. You know Lolo Rob, right? I featured one of his decks, the Freeze, the Graveyard Freeze deck. He's known for dominating ladder with this deck. I'll link the video if you guys are curious about it in the description below, but here's the deck anyway, guys. It's the Valkyrie Bowler Freeze deck. Nasty, nasty deck. Let's go ahead and watch this replay and see how Pompeyo handled this matchup. So look at the starting hand by Pomp here. It's a Minor Royal Ghost, Inferno Dragon, and a Balloon. Says good luck. Let's see what he starts out with here. Very interesting starting hand. It looks like his opening plays are usually going to be just cycling a Royal Ghost. You don't want to use your Miner because, again, the Miner is your big pump punisher, your pump killer in this deck. So we're just going to cycle minions or Royal Ghost to start out a match. Even cycling Inferno Dragon is okay, and both of these players appear to just be cycling early on here. He plays an aggressive Inferno Dragon at the bridge, and look at that. Lolo Rob responds with an Inferno Dragon of his own, but the level 5 Inferno D is going to take down the level 4 Inferno D, and Lolo Rob not happy about it one bit. That Inferno Dragon's going to live to get tremendous value, take down that bowler as well, and do some damage to that left tower. Lolo Rob gives the whistly princess emote, and Pompeyo responds in kind. So here we go again. Just both players kind of setting up here. Pompeyo knows the graveyard is coming. He plays the Inferno Dragon on the Mega Minion, take down the tank, worry about the tank first, then worry about the graveyard. Of course, Pompeyo answers both in quick success here, answering the Mega Minion with the Inferno Dragon, of course the minions with the for the graveyard, excuse me. And the reason he did that there is he knew that Lolo Rob just didn't have enough elixir to play freeze. You can bet your bottom dollar that Pompeyo, as soon as he saw the name Lolo Rob, he knew exactly what deck he was playing. And on the other side of the table, you know that Rob knew that Pompeyo was playing some sort of a balloon deck, right? And Pompeyo's just so good with balloon. One thing too about this deck that we haven't talked much about yet is the arrows and the zap. Pompeyo uses arrows as his first line of defense against swarm troops, and then he uses his zap as kind of a secondary against swarm, but more importantly, he'll often use his zap to retarget towers off of his balloon. You'll see that more often in double elixir time. So let's keep an eye out for that when it does happen throughout these replays. So here it goes. Good usage of both zap and arrows here. Arrows first, zap second to defend against that graveyard. And all of a sudden, just like that, Lolo Rob is in the lead here. He's splitting and cycling Goblin Gang there right at the river. And Pompeyo's going to respond by cycling another Royal Ghost behind and then getting that Inferno Dragon to answer the other Inferno Dragon. Now, when two Inferno Dragons go head to head like this, it can still be dangerous because it leaves Pompeyo's Inferno Dragon very, very low on HP. But the balloon is essentially tanking for the Inferno Dragon, and there's the first free spell out of Lolo Rob. A very good free spell there, actually destroyed that push completely, and both players are kind of even at this point in Elixir, guys. So how is Pompeyo going to make this comeback? Here it comes, an aggressive Valkyrie and a graveyard. Pompeyo forced to use a defensive Miner here, certainly not his first line of defense, but that Miner actually swings pretty quickly there, doing a good job, and once that Valkyrie is down, the Princess Tower actually does the heavy lifting against that graveyard. Assisted by the Miner, they do just a fine job defending. So here it comes, another aggressive balloon push, and the reason Pompeyo was able to defend that last graveyard push is he forced Lolo Rob to use that freeze on the previous defense. This time the Inferno Dragon gets a little bit of HP off that right tower, but not enough to justify switching lanes if you're Pompeyo. Now the beautiful thing about this deck that we didn't talk about thus far, guys, is look at how long this overtime is. Playing a control deck such as this, and the 3-minute overtime gives you an advantage that this deck didn't have previous to the change, the 3-minute change over 4,000 trophies. Now, does that apply to all of you guys? Of course not, but those of you who it does apply to, just know this deck will be stronger in the 3-minute overtime than it would be in the 1-minute overtime. So again, that balloon does get one hit, and all that minor chip damage brings that right tower down to 497 HP. All of a sudden, just like that, Pompeyo is in the lead. Now, Lolo Rob does have freeze ready here, but he has to answer that Inferno Dragon, so he doesn't have enough elixir to cast the freeze right away. Instead, the minions defend against that graveyard. So again here, this is going to be a big push for both players. What's going to happen? Pompeyo's going to go on the aggressive. He sends in the balloon, he sends in the Miner, he has zap ready to retarget, but this time it's going to be a failure on the zap. Freeze comes down just a little bit late, but only 9 HP left on that right tower. Beautiful job keeping that pressure up, and it's another thing I want you guys to notice about Pompeyo's playstyle when using this deck, is that he goes aggressive. Sometimes the opponent's just going to have a lot of air counters. They're going to have minions. They're going to have Inferno Dragon. They're going to have big spells in their deck. They're going to have freeze in their deck. That shouldn't prevent you from using your balloon even into the lane as long as you have answers such as arrows, such as zap, such as a Miner to retarget the defensive troops away from the balloon onto that Miner. So let's go ahead and hop into the next match, guys. Let's see. What is Bat playing? Another PEKKA deck? That's interesting. Let's see. King Arash is really, really good, but it's a hard counter matchup, right? So I don't want to give you guys the easy stuff. Let's go ahead and look at this matchup here, guys. It is Pompeyo versus Kyrios, who's a really, really, really good Mortar hybrid deck player. There's Mortar Miner decks, there's Mortar Hog decks. So you guys know, if you saw my last video, What's Winning Now, we went through the recent Grand Challenge winners and ladder decks, and it's just like Mortar, 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 Mortar. Mortar comboed with everything. This is a Mortar bait deck, and we're actually very well situated to defend against this deck. We do have the P.E.K.K.A to distract the Mortar if we need to, but oftentimes the P.E.K.K.A is not going to be our first line of defense against the Mortar. Now, if you're playing an Expo deck, the story would be different. We would be using our P.E.K.K.A. But against Mortar, you have a lot more kind of at your disposal. You can use a defensive Miner. Of course, you can go ahead and just send in the Balloon, send in the Miner either on the Mortar or on the Tower. You have some flexibility there. The more you play this deck, guys, the more you'll get used to it. I know for a lot of you guys, myself included, it's been a long time since we were able to kind of play a control deck like this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the difference between single elixir time and double elixir time. And you might have noticed this from my own gameplay, or maybe not, I don't know, come to think of it. But either way, the point I want to try to get across is you're going to be substantially more aggressive with this deck in double elixir time. Oftentimes in single elixir time, if there's not a great opportunity to execute a balloon push, you just won't play the balloon. You know, there's no harm in just defending for the first 2 minutes, because this is not a cycle deck, it's a control deck. So just defend, take the opportunities when you feel the opponent gives them to you, and by all means, if you think they don't have any air counters left, send in that balloon, just see what they do. That will give you valuable information where you can use more aggressively in double elixir time. In double elixir time, you can be way more aggressive, sending in those miners, sending in those balloons, comboing it with predictive arrows sometimes if you know they previously used like a minion horde or minions to counter your balloon. At the very least, you can hover that spell over that balloon and just be ready the split second they drop those troops. So going back to the match here, you're seeing Pompeyo doing a pretty good job. Things are pretty even there. I said that Kyrios was very, very good with this deck, and indeed he is playing very, very well. Rascals are so strong, guys, and I know a lot of you are doubters on the Rascals. Some of you are believers, some of you are doubters. Take it from me, Rascals provide a ton of value for 5 elixir, even if your opponent has log, as long as you have some sort of log bait component. So a very good job getting a lot of chip damage here, but remember, just like us, Kyrios doesn't have a big spell in this deck. So here we go with the big P.E.K.K.A push. We send in the balloon and we send in the miner here. So the balloon's gonna take down the mortar there, holding or protecting our tower. We send in the predictive arrows. How does Pompeyo come back from this, guys? Well, he gets one big swing there with that miner. Both towers go down at the same time. Oh man, Kyrios sends the flex emote to Pompeyo. Pompeyo must be like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe when I was first watching this replay, I was like, man, people are gonna love that split second tower trade at the very last second of regulation. So now all of a sudden things have been reset. Both towers pretty much at full health at this point. A mortar, not a miner. A mortar does lock onto that left tower, but here comes another counter push for Pompeyo. Here we go, guys. It is minions. It's a balloon. We talked about Pompeyo sending the balloon into the troops, not caring. And again, he's going to get tons of value here. The miner goes down, but he still has minions left alive. And look at that balloon. He's still going to get to the tower with the balloon. He doesn't get a hit off, but Royal Ghost does connect, force a snowball out of the opponent, and boom, just like that, we have like a 5 elixir advantage, which is going to be absolutely huge down the final stretch of this match. And again, this match would be over right now, guys, if it was the old rules. Now that we have 3 minutes, again, this match is not over, and the advantage is squarely in Pompeyo's side of the ring here, or the arena, I guess I should say. So here it comes again. It's a P.E.K.K.A balloon push. He sends in the P.E.K.K.A, the surviving P.E.K.K.A from defense, the balloon, the miner, and then he drops troops in the pocket as well here. He's going to play minions to defend against that skeleton barrel, and the balloon again does not connect, but doing more chip damage via the bomb explosion onto that left tower. So we're still in the lead here. We still have the elixir lead as well. We want to make sure we keep sending in that miner to get chip damage as much as possible. You can see here that we talked about the pacing with this deck. Mostly defense in the first 2 minutes, and then aggressive offense in double elixir time, whether it be overtime or just the final minute of regulation. So here we go again. The balloon does not connect to that tower, but again, just doing another 300 whatever damage to that left tower, taking it down to just above 1000 HP. So we're going to be saving the arrows for the rascals with this deck, because remember, we don't have log. If you prefer log over arrows, or again, if you prefer snowball over arrows, go ahead and do so. Don't be afraid to experiment. As I tell you guys with all the decks that I share on this channel, use what works for you. You might say, Ash, I love this deck, but you know what? I really love Fire Spirits, and they're my favorite card in the game, and I love them. Well, go ahead. Sub in Fire Spirits for minions or something like that, you know? But never, never, never just use a deck that I share on this channel and be hesitant or afraid to make substitutions. Experiment and try on your own. I say that often to you guys, but it bears repeating because it's so important. Depending on where you are in ladder, maybe you're seeing way more Royal Giants. Maybe you're seeing way more Royal Giants than this deck can handle, even though you do have PEKKA. But, you know, you guys get the example, right? You can sub in mini PEKKA for Royal Ghost if you're running against less splash damage and more Elite Barbarians and Royal Ghost, right? So you have some flexibility there. Or not Royal Ghosts, Royal Giants. Come on, Ash. All right, let's see what this last one is here. Well, another giant deck. We don't want to see, I want to see him go against the other PEKKA deck, because that's more of an even match here. Again, he just shared the replays that brought him to number 8 in the world, so we couldn't really choose the matchups. But this is going to be a good one here. We don't need to watch a Golem or a Giant matchup, frankly, because they're so relatively easy when you're playing a deck with PEKKA and Inferno Dragon, right? So let's see how he handles this matchup against Bat Ivko. So again, starting hand here, kind of a little awkward. You know, he starts again with a Royal Ghost, so Royal Ghost should be your go-to play to start these matches. If you don't have Royal Ghost, you can start out with a Dark Prince if you want to, or just split minions, or better yet, just wait for your opponent to make the first move. Again, this is one of those decks that actually gets a bit stronger when you get into double elixir time, so you're in no rush to make the first move in single elixir time. The first thing that you want to find out when playing this deck, the first thing that you want to identify is what balloon counters does my opponent have. It's as easy as that. You want to make sure you get that information, and that's what's in your head at all times during these battles when playing this deck. Number one, what counters does my opponent have to my balloon? Number two, where are those counters in my opponent's cycle? Those are the two things that you need to be thinking about. The rest is obvious. Defensively, this deck plays itself, right? You know, oh, they dropped a Giant, I'm gonna play a PEKKA. They dropped a Golem, oh, I'll use an Inferno Dragon. I mean, they dropped a Goblin Gang, I'll use my Zap, I'll use my arrows, or I'll use my Royal Ghost. You have a few options for everything that your opponent can throw at you. Oh, there goes the Goblin Barrel. Oh, I'll use arrows, and then against that Goblin Gang, I'll use my Royal Ghost. You know, you guys have, you notice there's always two defensive options for everything. So defensively, this deck pretty much plays itself. One last note on this deck and how you're playing it that I will share with you guys is that from my experience and then watching Pompeyo's replays, in watching Pompeyo play live with this deck, is that you don't want to be taking a ton of tower damage with this deck. Even though it's not an inexpensive cycle deck, or it's not a beatdown deck, you're playing it more like a cycle deck in terms of how you're protecting your towers. You do want to defend in this deck, and you don't want to get in those situations where you're down a tower early, such as you would with a Golem deck or a heavy beatdown deck. You're not going to play it more in that style. You're going to play it more as a defensive first deck. So now we're going to go into this replay. We're almost done in the replay, about 30 seconds left. And you can see Pompeyo gets the lock on that left tower with the Inferno Dragon. Man, there's no better feeling in Clash Royale, at least according to me, when you either beat a dirty BMer playing an over-leveled Royal Giant and Elite Barbs, or you get a lock on a tower with an Inferno Dragon and see it melt away. It almost feels like, I don't know, it's just a special kind of taking a tower down there. And Pompeyo gives the early GG, and you can see how just doing a good job cycling, do a good job defending first, and then counter pushing with whatever tools you have at your availability, this deck can absolutely dominate. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Really had a pleasure sharing it with you guys. Check out the show notes in the description for a link to Pompeyo's player profile and stats on statsroyale.com. Join my Discord server. I have weekly $50 giveaways. Also have all kinds of fun stuff like pro AMAs and Q&As and tournaments and all kinds of fun stuff. You can see the link to the Discord also in the description below. And a huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check out his information as well. Guys, thanks for watching all the way till the end. I really appreciate it. And as always, take care, guys.